Oh, Sylvia, thank you. That whole thing got no sound. How about that? Thanks, Sylvia. Tech is fun. This week we're talking about removing things. Let's start over there. This week we're talking about deleting things from your business. Okay, and one of the things that we find often is that we have high demands on our time, and so what we need to do is not find more things to do or even the right things to do. We need to delete things from our life, from our business, from the things that we're committed to. And so one of the things I want to talk to you about this week, Monday and Friday, we'll be chatting with you about that. Um, is I want to talk to you about your morning routine, because a lot of people have heard of having a morning routine and getting things done early. You may have even heard of the 5 a.m. club or different things like that on podcasts or books that you've read. But a lot of times you'll find that just by deleting what you currently have for a morning routine, or at least deleting some things out of it and adding some other things in, you'll actually have a bigger impact on what your day looks like. And I'm very much a believer in what you put in is what comes out. And so one thing, for example, that I do when I wake up first thing in the morning, instead of picking up my phone, looking at social media, or opening up my laptop, looking at email, instead of doing any of the things that have anything to do with work, I actually start with water and some either meditation or Bible reading or music, even just to ease my brain into the day with some things that are going to give me some positive thoughts and help me to get my brain going, right? Once I started doing that, what I found is that I was less stressed in my day. Just that one small thing, by deleting the fact that I felt like I had to jump right into work, or I felt like I had to pick up my phone and see what I missed the night before, it helped a lot. And then the second thing you might want to look at getting rid of is actually a to-do list. Yeah, you heard me right. Get rid of your to-do lists and think about a to-don't list. Because when you're distracted, you actually take away from all the things on your to-do list that you should be doing. And so I wrote down 3 things that are on my to-don't list that I actually have up on a whiteboard right next to me to remind me every day. Is don't check your email more than 3 times a day. Make it valuable. When you get in there, do the work and then put it away and get back to the project you're working on. Second thing I put in there was don't open your social media during work sessions. If you're working, there's no reason for you to have another browser open with LinkedIn or Facebook, or have your phone open to Instagram, because you're there to get work done. So that's another thing that's on my to-don't list. And then the third thing on my to-don't list is to don't go to meetings without agendas. Those will suck your day away so fast, and they will frustrate you so much. And I see my guests laughing over there in the background. Man, I don't have to tell you, meetings will take away your day. So I demand that there is an agenda, or you can't be there because you have work to do for clients. So that's the theme of this week as we're going through and talking about deleting things. And so what I want to do now is bring up my guest, Michael Caldwell. Michael and I met, of course, on LinkedIn, and have some common connections. And we were talking last week about a relatively new job opportunity he stepped into and he's working on. So I don't want to, take his thunder. So I'm going to bring him on here, and let's just talk to Michael and see what's going on with Michael and impact this week in his day. Michael.
Hello, Jake. How you doing?
Hey, thanks for coming on the show today. How are you?
Thank you for inviting me. I'm doing great. I couldn't help but laugh because I see a lot of people in that same position you're in, where they, especially like the meeting, you can have a meeting just to have a meeting and you get absolutely nothing out of it. And it just will, not only that, it spawns off other meetings that suck the life right out of what you're trying to do too. So kudos for bringing that up.
Yeah, man, that's a beautiful disaster. That's really what that is. Cool, man. Well, tell everyone a little bit about what you do. And I mentioned the new position you're in. So let us know what you got going on.
Well, I started my career out as a high school teacher and coach, and moved into a construction role years later, wanting to go into business, and ended up with Mohawk Industries for 16 years. Mm-hmm. Stepped away from Mohawk last fall and have stepped into a business development role with a 40-year-old Christian company here in Florida that does interior solutions. So my world is kind of different now. It's a culmination of teaching, coaching, motivating, garnering new business, marketing. So, and I like change. I like to be creative. So it's a whole lot of fun. But at the same time, it can be extremely challenging because some of the things that you talk about, and one of the and the very topic that we're talking about today is square, sitting square in my face. What do you focus on? What do you not focus on? How do you move forward? What challenges are you facing? That's the kind of thing that you have to navigate. And on top of that, when you're in a new role, and I know there's a lot of people on LinkedIn, listen, kudos out today. Trevor Houston, if you know who Trevor is, he put out a thing this morning on LinkedIn asking to comment on people who've been influential in your life, people who've made a difference in your life. And if you're not really paying attention to that, you can miss a lot of great mentorship and a lot of great things. And as I'm learning in my role, as I'm learning new personalities and new opportunities, I have to keep in mind that I'm surrounded by people who are better than I am at certain things, and I'm better than they are at certain things. And how do you mesh all that together? So it's a moving target, but that's what makes it fun and makes it rewarding also.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And I love change as well. So I totally get where you're coming from. What would you say, as you've stepped into this new role over the past few months, has been something that has jumped into your life that you weren't expecting?
A lot of people look at change as a failure, especially a job seeker. Maybe lost his job. Did he fail at the last one? Maybe he didn't. Maybe it was God opening another door. I like what you said a moment ago about starting your day. I have a book on my desk called TGIF. It's not Thank God It's Friday. It's Today God Is First.
Oh, cool.
And it was written by a guy named O.S. Hillman. And it's kind of funny that I follow O.S. Hillman because he's a South Carolina Gamecock. And as you can see behind me, I'm a big time Clemson Tiger, and we don't exactly like each other, but Hillman is a great guy. He wrote this book for business people to have topics that lead them on a daily basis. And so there's one for every day. And I think he's written a second version of that book as well, but it starts my day off on a positive note. What was great about my experience as I went through it, it took me a step back and allowed God to say to me, this is where I want you to be. Stop trying to plan yourself and follow my lead. And so I hopped on a plane one day and flew to Dallas, and I actually met Trevor Houston face to face, and I met Mark Elder, and I went and saw these guys at Career Solutions, and did some things that got me out of a box and started connecting me with people now all over the world that I share stories. I do this little thing called A Minute with Mike every once in a while. If you follow me on LinkedIn, you'll see they just, it's just things that speak to me that I want to share with somebody else. And what I'm finding is that there's so many people out there that are going through the same experience or have the same emotion or the same challenge or the same triumph, and they want to talk about it. But where do you talk about it? So that's one thing that I got that I didn't expect. I didn't expect so many people to be walking the same path with no outlet to discuss it. And I'm not a social media guy. I don't have a Facebook account. I don't do Instagram. I don't like TikTok. All that. I'm not here because I want to pump up my own chest. I'm here because if I can help you be successful, my day is made.
Right.
If I can influence you in a positive way, I don't care if you're going through a relationship issue or a boss issue, or you've got a job challenge. If there's something that I can share with you that has been given to me and it elevates your day and makes you feel better, I feel like a winner. And that's what life is. Doing life together is so important. And how do we do life together? Somebody asked me today, why do you have so many Zoom calls? Well, how would you and I meet if it wasn't for a Zoom call? Right. How would I have met so many people around the country and even in places outside the country, face to face? I wouldn't know what you look like. We could speak on the phone, but it's not the same. Right. So it opens, and you just have to have an open mind and an open heart, and you have to be willing to fail, but you also have to be willing to enjoy the journey. And the one thing that I have learned to do is try to enjoy the journey. It may not be exactly what I thought it was going to be. It's 10 times better if I will accept it, Yeah. So
that's great. That's great. So you talk about, being willing to reach out and connect with people, and, you hadn't really expected to make all these connections. How would you say that that's helping you be impactful in your new role in your organization?
Well, you've walked into a new job before. And you know what it's like to try to navigate office politics and learn people. Maybe the guy that you are tasked with dealing with on a daily basis didn't want to hire you. He wanted to hire somebody else. Maybe the department that you now have been entrusted to lead they felt like they needed a different person, a different role, or a different position filled before you got on hand. Mm-hmm. Maybe the fact that you walked onto the job with more experience threatens the person above you because now they feel overshadowed or don't feel like they have as much control. There's all kinds of stuff that goes into that. So, as you step into a new role, learning the fine line is pushing too hard or not pushing hard enough, making an impact without stepping on toes, even though it should be done. How do you lead somebody into a leadership position and ask them to give input when the last guy that was in the role you're in, he made all the decisions and wanted everybody to know it, that kind of thing. So right. It's really unfolding that, unpacking, I guess, sort of say, if you trying to identify it, educate people, recognize their abilities, but also educate them on how we can all do this together. One of my great strengths, I think, that I have is seeking advice from others, whether it be a guy like you. I mentioned today in Trevor's post, a guy named Joe Turner who has a company that's involved with the Wendy's Corporation, and they have a bunch of restaurants and stuff. But he's been a man that I've known since I was in college, who's always had great advice, things like that. And then, you got to start small and develop, let the flower blossom. Sometimes I think people jump in and they have such grandiose ideas that nobody knows how to jump on the train to go with them. They outrun the pack, and then they're left standing all by themselves. So, starting small, developing those relationships, developing those opportunities, getting everybody to see your vision, and then, like I said, enjoying it. Why are you there? You're there to impact others. I mean, that's what God called us to the world for to begin with. Mm-hmm. That impact that we have on others. How do we do that? And you don't know who's watching. I learned that as a school teacher. You never know who's really watching. That's and, right. It's funny. Yes, parents, I'm sure we've all been in that situation where we've seen a mom talk about or had a little boy suddenly say something that you're like, oh my, and the mother shrieks back going, where did he hear that? Well, he heard that at home. So you just never know who's listening, And so making that part of the journey for me is what gives me strength. Even when I'm frustrated, it gives me great encouragement.
Mm-hmm. That's great. That's so good. I know I forget where I heard it, but the phrase was, it's not what's taught, it's what's caught. And so they see you doing things, and that's what they catch on to. And that applies at work, with the people you manage and the people above you too, right? You can manage up, you can lead up.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I love the fact that, the company I work with now, when I came here, the owner and this is a 40-year-old family-run business. So he's the son of the founder. Mm-hmm. He told me, he said, let me be straight with you. He said, I'm the leader of this company, and I'm learning every day how to be a better leader. That is just engaging. That's somebody who says, I'm bringing you here because you have strengths, and understand that some of those strengths may outrun me at the moment, and I want to be a part of that. But he's not afraid to surround himself with people who have gifts and talents. And I think sometimes corporations, companies, whatever, they expect so much out of somebody that they fail to recognize what their true strengths and where to place them and where to put them and how to help them grow into something that's even more beneficial to the company. Because what ends up happening is people get frustrated. They get asked to do things they have no concept or really is not a strength. So they get frustrated and they leave and they go somewhere else. And you get this constant turnover with companies and things like that. So right. I'm blessed to be with a guy that recognizes that and wants people here that can bring in and elevate the rest of the team. But we're all about culture. I love our 4 core values are simple: radically relational, passionately positive, lifelong learners, do the right thing. That's what the 4 core values of the company I work for are. I don't know what else you can really say. I know they seem generically large, but when you drill them down, they're really not, because passion, relationships, learning, and doing the right making the right choice, doing the right thing will govern just about anything you want to do in life.
That's true. That's very true. Love that. I love that you shared those values, because when we were talking last week, you shared those. So that's awesome. So as we wrap here, my question I like to ask at the end is what is Michael doing to get in the way of having more impact this week?
That's you go put me on the spot. The very person I mentioned a few minutes ago, that one guy that really didn't want you here when you started, the day after I started, he told me, he said, I don't think you should be here. You're not the guy I wanted them to hire. Right. Told me this morning that he's blessed to have me as a leader in his team.
That's awesome.
And that's because we've taken a couple of small victories. We've taken a couple of small instances, and we've been building trust together, because what he wanted and what he needed, he felt like he wasn't being listened to. I have taken those on as a cause in my first 3 months here, as a cause for him to shoulder up beside him and let the company understand why his needs aren't being met and why they're important. And in doing so, I'm building a relationship that's going to blossom and and make things even stronger for all of us. So
yeah, that's awesome. I love it. You started with this and you ended with this, so I know you mean it. Is when you help others, everyone wins. Everybody kind of gets to keep moving in a direction that's good for everybody. So I love that you took that on. Cool, Michael. Well, if people wanted to connect with you, where could they find you?
Very easily on LinkedIn. It's Michael Caldwell, and I've got my email and my phone number and everything in my contact info. Would love to connect with people. I love to share stories. I love to learn from others. I'm one of those guys that I like to get different opinions. I may throw something out there and just ask for your take on it, just because it may change the way I think about it. So would love to connect with people. And thank you so much for the time. I love what you're doing. Thanks, Michael. Really appreciate it. Thanks for coming on the show. And everyone reach out to Michael. He's a fantastic guy. I've only known him for a couple of weeks, and already I've got him on my Rolodex of people to keep checking in with. So awesome. Thanks a bunch, Michael. You're welcome. Thank you, Jake. Awesome. Well, that was a great segue into the fact that if you're interested in seeing someone else's opinion of how your business is doing, we have a free no-cost quiz where you can go check the health of your business. So you will see here, if you just go to bit.ly/biz-MRI, it's our business MRI quiz. You can go get a score on 5 major areas of your business. Like I said, just pop in your email and we'd be happy to help you. And we got some education depending on how you score. So jump out today and check that out. And then come back on Friday and check with us, because we will be circling back to deleting things from your business and seeing what we learned from other people this week, and give you some tips on how to make more impact at the beginning and the end of your week. So thanks a bunch for joining us today, and we hope to see you on Friday at noon.